If you saw little Liam on the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the little 5-year-old from Minneapolis. I know I'm behind, but there have been updates to that story, so we got to talk about that. I'm hoping that somebody would please tell the lefticals that a 5-year-old little boy in a cute, little bunny hat and a backpack is not a political prop. Yet that's exactly how the left has used this little boy. I saw someone in the live chat ask if we remember the little Gonzalez boy. What was his name? Alien, right? Yes, I do remember him. I do. So we're gonna talk about this because if the left can get America to cry, like if they could just pull out the little baby violin, if they can get us to cry and just tap into, the heartstrings, they can get us to comply with what it is that they want. But they don't want you to ask questions. No, do not ask any questions. They wanted you to pick a side. That's what all of this was about. You were supposed to emote and see ICE detain the 5-year-old and turn off your brain and not think through what you saw. They didn't want you to engage with the facts. They wanted you to engage with your feelings. So today, we're going to do something revolutionary. I know you don't see a lot of it, but we're going to have compassion for the child, and we're going to exhibit some discernment about this whole narrative, right? So basically, we're going to chew bubblegum and walk at the same time today. And it's because the same people that are screaming, we got to save the children, right? They're the ones that are actively engaged in schmecks trafficking, if you know what I mean. They're the ones that allowed over 300,000 children to just dissipate like steam in the air in the interior of our country. And they're also the same people who demand wholesale abortion on demand. We want to kill babies because we are bloodthirsty. And that's what we do. We got to sacrifice the babies to Molech. So when I hear them lamenting about this 5-year-old, I'm like, save me the tears, you lying hypocrites. Okay? So let's get into it. What happened in the original story with the little 5-year-old boy? We're also going to talk about the update of what happened with the detainee and him being back in Minnesota. And then we're going to talk about how the spin machine of the mainstream news media, how they keep lying so that you'll hate immigration enforcement. Remember, that's the goal. You're supposed to hate ICE, defund ICE. They're supposed to be the wicked Gestapos. That's what they want you to believe. Now, they want you to believe that. Hate immigration enforcement, even though the reason why we're seeing such an uptick and aggressive immigration enforcement is because they're the ones who created this mess in the first place. And so, as believers and American patriots, we're gonna walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, right? We can have mercy and still demand law and order. So let's get into it. Quick disclaimer. I have several clips I'm gonna show. I want to be clear. I am not a here. Did I say I am not a here? That ain't what I meant. I meant to say I am not here to attack a child. I don't do that. I'm a mama. This ain't about the baby. I'm also not here to mock the baby. Just because I mentioned this little furry hat in the backpack, I was trying to build it's called imagery, right? So this is not mockery. I was creating imagery. But I'm also not here to dehumanize anyone. Hear me clearly. If you've been on this platform, you know I take a very harsh stance when it comes to illegal immigration. Not immigration, illegal immigration. We think in proper categories over here. It's not about dehumanizing people, okay? I am here to expose how adults with power have manipulated the emotions of American people in order to push policy that is not good for America. Because one of the most demonic tricks that we're seeing today in politics is, let's put the kid in the frame, put the little slow music, right? Don't look at the adults, right, who broke the system or who broke the law. Don't look at that. They just want you to focus on the kid. You're going to see exactly how this story got what I call edited, right? How they framed the narrative to give you this shareable narrative that ICE is bad and that Donald Trump is just a mean old orange guy who don't give a darn about no kids, right? The goal in real time, they want to make you hate enforcement and they want you to worship all of the disorder that you're seeing. So, this is Liam. Take a look at this clip, you guys.
This picture of Liam Ramos being detained by ICE is sparking a war of words over what really happened to the 5-year-old student at Lakeview Elementary School in Columbia Heights. Witnesses say the boy was taken into custody along with his father in their driveway after arriving home from preschool on Tuesday, and that federal agents tried to use Liam as bait to get his mother, who was inside the home, to let them in.
Mom was there. She saw out the window and Dad was yelling, "Please do not open the door."
But DHS officials say Liam wasn't being targeted by ICE and that his father abandoned him while trying to get away from federal agents.
And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
An attorney says Liam and his father entered the U.S. lawfully from Ecuador in 2024 and have a pending asylum case. He says Liam's father doesn't have a criminal record in Minnesota, and he believes the two are being held together at a federal facility in San Antonio, Texas.
The fear that was generated, the terrorizing of the children and the community, that's just horrifying.
District officials say Liam is one of 4 children from Columbia Heights who've been taken by ICE over the last few weeks. And witnesses who were there dispute DHS's version of events, saying there were plenty of adults around who could have taken care of Liam instead of taking him to a detention center.
The onslaught of ICE activity in our community is inducing trauma and is taking a toll on our children, taking a toll on our families, our staff, our community members.
Now, the attorney for Liam's family hasn't had a chance to speak with them in Texas yet, but he says he's reviewing several legal options to get them out. This picture of...
Okay. Few things I want to engage with there. Notice how, do y'all remember on a previous show when I told you that these people believe that your children are their children, or like your children are their children, meaning they have this concept of you sharing custody of your children with the government. So when they say there were plenty of adults around, there was no need to detain the boy, you could have just given him to some other adult. And I'm like, that's not how this works. First of all, let's just say, for example, I'm an American citizen, but I've committed a crime and I know they're coming to get me and I have one of my girls with me. It would be unacceptable for, just because there's some other adults around, for you to randomly give my child to some other adult. You don't know these people. I don't care who they are, unless it is a legal parent or guardian. That is not how this works. But notice, I don't even think most people heard what she said. There were other adults around. They didn't have to detain him. They could have just gave the little boy to some other adult. So you telling me the father doesn't come out to claim the boy, the mama ain't opening up the door, and ICE has the kid, and you expected ICE to be like, well, who wants to claim the boy, and then just give him to some random child? We will never win the propaganda spin that these people want to place on this situation, because it pains them to just acknowledge the truth. Now, let's intellectually be honest here. According to this report, this gentleman is an asylum seeker from Ecuador. Now, all of them, all of a sudden, have been asylum seekers, but they came here in 2024. They have a pending case. Great. They say he's not a criminal. So the argument is going to be, well, why is ICE prioritizing and going after this gentleman when I thought this enforcement action was about going against the criminals first? Trump has made it clear. If you're here and you're here illegally, granted, we do want the criminals first. But if we happen to come across others who are in the country unlawfully, we're going to swoop them up too. It bothered me how the lady said that they're terrorizing communities. Listen, I've been in this country my whole life. If I see ICE, I don't start shaking in my boots. I don't start twitching. There's no trauma. For me, that is, I live here. You will not try to convince me that ICE is terrorizing everyone without distinction. People who are here lawfully and people who are American citizens are not afraid of ICE. The only people who have issues with ICE are leftists, right? These deranged lefticals that have been radicalized who, for whatever reason, believe that we are supposed to be an open door society without borders. Okay, so that is the first clip that I wanted you to see, because in real time, they want you to disengage your brain and just be emotionally invested. Now, let's take a look at this other clip.
Okay, we're starting in Minnesota. The video showing the moment that ICE officers took a 5-year-old and his father into custody after the child arrived from preschool. DHS officials say the father actually fled from officers as they approached his car and left the child behind. Now, Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro says the 5-year-old may now be in San Antonio. He says he and his staff are working to locate the child, check on his safety, and to demand his release.
Okay, so I wanted you to see that. Why are you talking? I wanted you guys to see that because notice how lawmakers are getting involved when the optics look as if they can spin it in their favor. You will never convince me that these people care about children when they've made no effort to locate the missing 300,000 children who were brought here illegally that we can't account for them. They just disappeared. Now, we know, I didn't even prepare to show you this clip, but I'm going to show it a little later, where there are Christian missionaries who've been down in Mexico who will affirm and assert with no equivocation that there is absolutely trafficking happening with these children on purpose, and Democrat lawmakers know it. They don't care about these kids. They don't, okay? So we've gone ahead and I've shown you what originally happened. Don't play. You better not play. Don't you do it. I knew it was going to do it. I know it. I don't want it to play just yet. But we've gone ahead and we've reviewed those clips. I'll show you the clip later of the Christian missionary explaining exactly what's really happening with a lot of these children. I'm not conflating and saying that's the situation here, but I'm going to expand on that a little later. But now, Liam is home now, okay? There's been an update, and I'm going to play that clip, and then we're going to talk about it. Now you can play.
Airplane? Where are you going? ¿A dónde vas?
México.
¿A dónde vamos? ¿Cómo se dice en español? Mochila. Mochila? Sí, mochila. Okay. What happened?
I'm showing you just to give you context to the optics that they're trying to create They are exploiting. This is the little Gonzalez boy 2.0. His name is just Liam. Liam Conejo Ramos. Okay. So they were in a detention center. And the update is that the little boy and his father, Adrian, the same daddy who refused to come out and claim his son, and the mama too, and he's left in ISIS possession. They're like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do? Right? They don't want to talk about that part. All they want to talk about is this 5-year-old little boy was scooped up and detained by ICE. So now him and his father were taken to a detention facility in Texas, and this is them on the plane back to Minnesota. And the part that the media, they're doing a little victory lap, and they've got this triumphant tone, like the white savior didn't come in and save the day. Right? They're out on social media talking about it's because of you, because of your righteous indignation, we've changed the system. I'm like, no, that's not how this happened. Now, I will praise God and celebrate the fact that the child is safely reunited with his daddy, right? He's not in a facility, right? We don't want children to suffer unnecessarily. However, I'm curious to know why we can't have an honest discussion about parental authority, right? And parental oversight. And when your parent fails and leaves you, what do you expect the law to do? What do you expect the law to do? Where was the concern that Adrian had for his own son? I understand. Listen, I have no point of reference for what it's like to live in Ecuador. I ain't never been there. I don't know what the living conditions are like. I can only imagine what the hope and promise of being in America may mean for this family. But you are not going to emotionally manipulate me and the American people because everybody has a sob story. Everybody has a story. We can whip out the baby violin for all of them. We have parents domestically whose children are in foster care. We ain't whipping out the baby violin for them. We've got parents who in America, who one of the parents have committed a crime with baby in tow. And if we just allowed the story to pull on our heartstrings, we would never be able to enact justice. Okay? They're trying to package this story a certain way. They're not saying, here are the facts. Here are the areas that are up for dispute. Here's what we know now. Here is what we don't. Instead, they're saying, see, this whole situation proves that legal immigration enforcement is just evil. It's just wrong. And if you disagree, you're a monster. That is the narrative that they want you to walk away with. Why do you think, out of all of the children and families that are in detainment, why do we have a ABC News exclusive of the little boy Liam in the cockpit with the pilot and asking, mija, mijo, where you going? How you doing? And he playing, and you're just like, y'all are something else. Y'all will exploit your own children for selfish gain and power, right? They want you, if you disagree, you're a monster. And this is all done to prove that the emotions of the American people are very easy to rent if you can frame the story the right way. And as you know, the left never returns a rental. If they can pull on your heartstrings and get it on lease, they're going to hold it in perpetuity. Now, I got this other clip. This one is a little long. Don't you play. It's going to play. I know it. Stop it. This one's a little long. We may not watch the whole thing, or I may stop and start. But I need to show you this one.
For the first time since he was taken by ICE, we have new first-hand information about 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos. Now, here he was as we came to know him, a 5-year-old boy with his Spider-Man backpack and bunny hat, swept up when ICE took his father just last week in Minneapolis. Contrast that with our latest photo of him. His father says he does this a lot. He sleeps which is how 2 Democratic lawmakers saw him at the Texas detention center where he's being held.
I was concerned with, you see how he appears in that photo with his energy. He seemed lethargic. His father said that Liam has been sleeping a lot, that he's been asking about his family, his mom, and his classmates, and saying that he wants to go be back in school with his classmates. He's asked about his backpack and his cap that he was wearing when they picked him up in Minnesota.
These people are shameless. Okay, first of all, I've raised 4 children. I still am. 5-year-olds sleep a lot still. They're still in the nap phase where if they don't get their sleep, they are cranky. Do you notice the optics? They're just like, oh, when we saw him, he was sleeping. And his father's like, yes, he does that a lot. I'm like, yeah, y'all are some kind of trifling. They are just some kind of trifling. Let me let them finish. Because the theatrics of this are just, it's incredible.
I want to bring in the other lawmaker who got to see Liam, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Thank you so much for being here and for helping us to understand what you saw. Do you agree, or are you worried after seeing Liam about his energy, about what he's been through? Tell us your observations.
First of all, what has this boy been through other than the fact of the initial detainment and seeing his father not come and get him? Now that would bother me too. I would be like, wait, hold on. Like, you just left me on the cold with these people. Now, if you were worried, Daddy, about getting scooped up, at least keep us together. It wasn't ICE that separated this family. It was the parents that willfully chose to be separated from their own child. And I thought it was interesting that of all the people, she running for Senate. So this is MSBS now with the optics. This woman don't have no children, don't want no children, ain't no baby on the horizon for her at all. This woman does not care about this little boy. She has no emotional attachment to him at all. But she got her photo op standing there with the solemn look on her face, looking at Liam. Mind you, Liam with his daddy. And they're just standing there staring at him, talking about he does that a lot. What, sleep? You'd be sleepy too. You'd be tired too if you were 5. These people get on my nerves.
Yeah, so I want to be clear. I am gravely concerned about Liam, as I am all the children that we were able to see. There was a common kind of note that was struck by every single parent that we were able to speak with. Their concern was for their children. The children right now are depressed. They're not getting any education at all. Many of them are not eating. They are throwing up. We had reports about issues with the water, so we made sure that we actually took a sample of the water for ourselves to be able to test. But I don't even know if what I saw out of Liam was sleep, because I've dealt with a lot of kids, and when I tried to touch him, tried to move him just to see if I could get his eyes to open, his eyes never opened. We never saw his eyes open the entire time we were there.
He was asleep.
He did not necessarily seem like he was asleep. There wasn't kind of the heavy breathing sometimes that occurs when you're asleep. I was very concerned about his appearance, as well as he appeared a bit pale.
So here's the goal. Mind you, it's wintertime. I appear pale in the wintertime. I am much lighter in the winter than I am in the summer. Okay. She's trying to paint this narrative as if he's malnourished and ICE is mistreating these children. He's not. Mind you, does anyone want to ask, how did we get here? How are we in a situation where we have so many illegal immigrants in this country to begin with that we actually have to have ICE enforcement? That we got to actually go and get these people because y'all let them in. And you didn't let them in because you care about these people. You let them in because you need your new class of slaves. You need your electoral serfs. You want to give them the free stuff so that you can remain in power in perpetuity. We all have figured it out by now. And this is not new. You guys, the Democrats have been planning this for so long. And the fact that Donald Trump was not supposed to survive Butler. He wasn't supposed to be in. He's derailing their plan. So now, because they have the media optics on their side, they have to show up, especially the little Joaquin Castro dude, claiming to care. They don't care. But we are under, they want you to make it seem as if we're under no obligation to make the border safe. I'm gonna let her finish, and she's gonna mention about the conditions at the border and these detainment facilities. And I'm like, we ain't even supposed to be having this conversation, because you're not even supposed to cross the border illegally. We're under no obligation. The fact that they're here now, we do have some obligation to not mistreat these people. But the idea that he's pale, he's malnourished, some of the kids are throwing up. Was he throwing up? Because she didn't say Liam was throwing up, Liam is sick, Liam is poisoned. He's in his father's arm doing what a 5-year-old does. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. Ain't nothing wrong with this little boy. But they want you to possibly think he is, so that you can soften your position on illegal immigration and figure out a way, well, maybe surely we can loosen up a little bit and make some sort of, exception, because this is just ridiculous. They want you to think that this is happening times 300,000. That's what they want you to think.
What do you think might be going on then?
I have no idea. I mean, we also talked to the psychiatrist that is at the facility, as well as the nurse practitioner. They indicated that there are a lot of people that struggle with the depression, and Liam's father told us that Liam had been asking about his mom and crying for his mom, who happens to be 4 months pregnant and had to be hospitalized once she received information about what happened to her husband and her child.
Hold up. Wasn't she there and also didn't choose to open up the door to claim her child? Listen. There is nothing that is going to allow me to choose my personal well-being over the well-being of my child. If this was really about keeping families together, and if these people weren't willing to sacrifice their children like they obviously do all the time, we wouldn't be having this conversation if the father had opened up the door, or the mother was like, listen, do what you want to us, but keep us together. ICE wouldn't have separated this family. They would not have done that. There's no upside for ICE to do that, to have a child without their parent. And then you got to figure out how to unite them. It's too many people, too many layers of bureaucracy involved to purposely separate these two. So Jasmine, quit your lying, right? The boy, I've talked to the psychologist, and his father saying Liam is depressed. I don't buy it. I just don't. There's no way these Democrats are going to convince me that the well-being of this child is on the forefront of their minds, because if that was the case, they wouldn't have opened up the border, told those people to make that dangerous trek here with no guarantees of where, actually they did give them guarantees. It's like, we're going to feed you, we're going to clothe you, we're going to give you housing, we're going to make sure y'all good. That's why they came. They were invited, unfortunately. Unlawfully, but invited nonetheless. Let me let her finish.
Do I believe that he's depressed? Yes. But the reports of children not eating is very concerning. And it seems like the administration there does not want to do anything to kind of make sure that these children are getting at least some of the nutrition that they need.
Well, you and Congressman Castro were very clear. You're calling for his release. Did you get any answers as to why he's still there? And is there any hope of getting him out?
Yeah, basically the answer was, our hands are tied. This is, higher than our pay goes, right? Like, basically, like, this is a DC thing. I do want to back up to something you were saying, though, in your previous conversation. As we go through these negotiations and Senate Dems are thinking about what it is that they're going to do, I think that our negotiations should empower the people and should empower the people's attorneys. I don't trust the idea that we should say, hey, don't break the law, and then they're not going to break the law. It's already against the law to do half the things that we're asking them to do. We're basically asking them, please just follow the law. I want to do things like, let's look at a real speedy trial issue as relates to detainees. We have speedy trial for everything else. Let's put some timelines on this. Let's put some more parameters that empower their attorneys to get people out of custody that are suffering right now. Those are the things that we should be doing. We should be working on a pathway to citizenship. We should be using this moment to make sure that we give the resources and tools, not only to make sure that we're keeping our border safe, but also that the resources are there to actually process cases so we know who has real asylum cases and who doesn't.
Hold on. Why would we keep the border safe? The purpose of the border is to deter you from coming. It ain't supposed to be safe. You're supposed to be met with lots of aggression and fear and trembling if you even make it that far. You're not supposed to attempt to come here, so we're not obligated to keep the border safe because you're not supposed to cross it illegally. Did y'all hear it though? She told on herself. She wants to give these people a pathway to citizenship. I told y'all that's what this was all about. That's what this is all about. Here's another observation. Isn't it amazing that now that Jasmine is running for Senate, she knows how to clean up her image and communication style and to present herself on camera very poised, measured, tempered, and level-headed. I didn't hear not one oratang outburst. I didn't see no sister girl, we ain't see none of that. If she had conducted herself like this for the vast majority of her congressional career, she would probably be so much more further ahead than she is now. I think she's gotten the memo. The white liberals have already said, listen, she ain't the one. She ain't it. She's just not it. And it's because her reputation precedes her. She's ineffective because she thought that all of that oratang energy and showing her tail on the House floor and doing every single media interview and embarrassing her ethnic image was going to garner her votes and respect. And it doesn't. It made her the laughing stock of the Congressional Black Caucus. And the only people out here who take her to be a serious or viable Senate candidate are hood rat chicks in the hood who see themselves in her. Those are the only ones. And folks who are like, we don't have nobody else. But that doesn't have anything to do with this video. I just wanted to highlight, did you see how she was under so much control? She knows how to do it. She just chooses not to. And because the Senate race, this is serious. This is not just Congress now. She's in a position to represent the state of Texas. Now, there'd be a cold day in hell before this woman wins a statewide race in the state of Texas. But at least she's putting her best foot forward to try. Just wanted to highlight that. So, here is what you've seen all those clips. What the grown folks in the room should have been asking. They should have been asking, why are these immigrants being detained in the first place? Did anybody ask why? Like, how did we get here? Did anyone ask, what actually happened in that driveway? Can we get the details of what happened? Right? Like, why did Liam's father flee and leave his own kid? That is a legitimate question that should be asked. And why did his own mama, why didn't she come to his rescue? You didn't hear any of that. Immediately, the narrative became, ICE kidnapped a 5-year-old. That's what we heard. And we heard that phrase because the phrase kidnap, it's inflammatory. The word kidnapped in and of itself is doing a lot of political work. Like, it's got legs on its own. And so the media, they're framing this like Joaquin Castro and Jasmine and all of them, they're like the heroes of the movie. But I want you guys to notice something. The mainstream media is not just reporting. Y'all, they're campaigning. This is campaigning in a roundabout way. That's what they're doing.